Damage is a very important part in Hypixel Skyblock. But what was the highest damage ever dealt? You're probably thinking the highest damage number was hit through bugs or exploits. But what if I told you the highest damage number ever hit was 100% legit and not even hit by a human? In the past, there have been many bugs that cause damage to increase. Some of the most renowned bug is the Soul Eater bug, which caused damage numbers to be incredibly high after killing a high strength mob. However, it was patched shortly after it came out. Another bug was bugged blood rooms in certain high floors, which caused anything placed into them to freeze. This enabled players to spam the Music-Cipher and get bats frozen in blood room and then use the bat person artifact to gain strength and intelligence off them, leading to a ridiculous amount of strength. This could have theoretically given players infinite strength if they had infinite time and like 8 million NASA computers. And we all like to see numbers rise, which is why you should subscribe, like, and comment. Also join Discord server in link description, because we all want to watch numbers go up. However, the damage dealt from the bugs is not even close to the amount of damage dealt by this one player. It was dealt during a limited time event called the Uprising. This was where Dante, a powerful dictator, was controlling Skyblock, and the players had to come together and elect a resistance leader to lead a resistance against him and fight. The player who got this record was none other than the GOAT Technoblade. And let's be real, can we even consider Technoblade human? During this event, players had to vote for any player to lead the resistance. Technoblade won with 180,000 votes in his favor. In addition to this, everybody could receive an armor set called Armor of the Sun. This was virtually useless to every single person, except for the nominated few. This gave you X strength, health, and intelligence per armor piece, where X was the amount of players who voted for you. With Technoblade receiving over 180,000 votes, he gained 180,000 intelligence, strength, and health on every single armor piece. This enabled him to get over 900,000 strength, leading to the highest number ever dealt outside of dungeons. He hit for 2.1 billion damage. However, this is the integer limit for the Minecraft coding and the number display. No number can go past this when displaying a single number. So how much damage did Technoblade actually do? First, let's go over his setup. Full stun armor with Legion 5 100% maxed out, with a 100% maxed out Liver Dagger and a legendary Lion Pet. Now, in order to figure out how much damage he actually got, we can use a damage equation and plug in all Technoblade's stats for the event to figure out what he actually was hitting. The equation we will use is on screen right now. It's a kind of complex one, so we will be using the pre-strength nerf equation, as that was when it was hit. Once you plug in all the numbers needed, damage-wise, crit chance-wise, statistically-wise, we get this much damage. However, this is not including any of the buffs, such as Lion Pet, Enchants, or the Liver Dagger ability. When we include them, the damage number skyrockets a lot higher. So this is the equation with all the stat boosts added, that I'm going to be going over what each one actually does. Start off, 2.25 is the first strike combat ability. First two is a Liver Dagger back hit. So 100% extra damage from Liver Dagger back hit, 100% extra damage from Smite 7. Another 2.25 because Lion Pet doubles the amount of damage dealt, or the effect stats from first strike. 2 is his combat level, he was combat level 25-ish. And the other 2 is an End Stone Sword, which doubles your damage. In addition to this, he has a 1.15 for the Lion Pet Third's ability, increases damage by 15% if the mob has hit you. So that gives you this weird ass number here, and I'm going to tell you what this actually is. Now, quick math lesson here. If you ever see something with a number times 10 to the power of something, basically speaking, whatever that number in the exponent is, you just add that much zeros behind the number, and that's the number you get. So if it's 10 to the power, if it's 8 times 10 to the power of 13, it's 8 with 13 zeros behind it. This means he was hitting for a little over 6.3 trillion damage if it was to actually display. But how much could it have he hit? Because there is a bunch of items that he could have optimized in order to get this damage number up tremendously higher. The first item we can use that he could have added to add this damage number is Ice Spray. This freezes mobs and gives you 10% extra damage to them. Next is a big one, Soul's Rebound. This lets you hit a mob for 5 seconds, and all the damage that you dealt in those 5 seconds is added up to a single hit, or a single damage number, with a 20% increase in damage to whatever you did. Realistically, with 100% attack speed, Technoblade can hit anywhere from 10 to 14 times in those 5 seconds. However, he didn't actually do it, so we don't know, so I'm going to take a guess and say 12. This adds both a 12 times multiplier and a 1.2 times multiplier to this number. But now we also need to add the Legion buff. As we know, everyone follows Technoblade around if they have the chance. I added a 31% buff to all the numbers in the stuff that involves strength, crit damage, any of those stats. The reason this being is 28% is from Legion and 4% is from the Renowned. With this, with only these few items with Soul's Rebound Ice Spray, he was able to bump his damage number up from 6.3 trillion to 83.4 trillion damage, outside of dungeons. Now for the next part, it's going to all be theoretical. We're going to pretend he went into dungeons and he had a lot better setup, and we'll see how much he could actually do. So for this, Technoblade will have Combat 50, Kata 50, and Berserker 50 for this dungeon run, and it's going to be M7. Alone, having Combat 50 will add a 4 times multiplier to the 2 times, doubling his damage. Then if he's playing Solo Berserker, which he should, he will receive a 200 melee percent boost damage, which is an additional 4%. Berserker also has a bunch of abilities for damage, 2 others including the just straight percent boost. Bloodlust gives you a plus 40% damage boost if you kill a mob beforehand. So if I kill a mob, the next hit will do 40% damage. And Lust for Blood. Lust for Blood is a very interesting perk to calculate. I'm going to use the simpler version. For this one, every time you hit a mob, the damage is buffed 5% up to 1100% the original damage, or 11 times the damage. Since this one will be frozen and it's going to be Soul's Rebound, he will be able to get that 1100% buff because he will have the time to. This means his damage will effectively increase to 11 times. Now in reality, this is a much more complicated enchant to deal with as it compounds on top of each other. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to use the 11 times damage. It's already in a stupidly high number. As this is Master Mode 7, the mob has lots of HP and gains a 70 or 65% buff towards its damage, as Giant Killer is the mob's health minus your health up to a max of 65%, and you're not going to have 600 million health. In addition to this, we are going to be doing buffs. Now, dungeon buffs are random every single time. However, for the sake of this video, I'm going to assume that all of his buffs gave him a percent increase stat, doubling all of his stats. I don't know what it usually is percent-wise, but we're going to assume that it did, adding a 2 times effect to all of his damage stats. Now, in addition to this, he will be using Swarm on his weapon. Yes, Swarm is better for Soul Eater for this, and I'll explain why. But this will give him another 200% stat boost, as there's going to be lots of mobs surrounding him, and you can do the math. It's a big-ass number. Now, the reason we want Swarm is because we're looking for percent buffs. Soul Eater, the damage how it works is kind of complicated when doing it in an equation, but it would only buff his damage by 1 million or maybe more, even if he had a Deathmite Soul. So, with all of this, the total damage he could have possibly done inside of dungeons, it comes out to around 310 quadrillion damage with not a single bug. But Technoblade could have hit for 310 quadrillion damage, breaking all records permanently forever. No one is going to get higher than this damage number. If they do, I am going to be shocked. However, this is all hypothetical, so the damage dealt by someone without bugs goes to none other than a pig. Combat level 27, hitting for 7 trillion damage outside dungeons, and if he'd optimized his setup, he would be hitting for 68 trillion damage. If you guys enjoyed today's video, subscribe, it would mean the world to me. See you guys next one. Peace out.